Hey everyone, Chris Stegall here with Creme de la CRM, and I am joined once again by Matt Kaufman. Hi, Matt.
Hi, Chris.
And we are back with another installment of Q&A with Matt K, the weekly series where we take questions from the audience or from the Trailblazer community and put Matt in the hot seat to see how 20 plus years of Salesforce experience and troubleshooting stack up against not being able to Google and having the pressure on. Um, so if you do have questions of your own, you can always head over to go.mkp.dev/Q&A and submit them there, or of course, drop them in the comments of one of these videos, because we do see those. Also, if you want to support the channel, make me feel happy, please be sure to like and subscribe. That way, this channel gets boosted to other Trailblazers who are then more likely to get their questions answered, and we can sort of do a feedback loop of community support, which is one of those things that Salesforce is always good at. So without too much further ado, we can jump into today's question. Matt, it's going to be a formula question. Tracy asks for help with a filter in a report. Basically, they're looking to produce a report that shows last year versus this year. But because, it is May of this year, then 2024 is only going to show January to May. And they would like their report then for 2023 to only show those relevant months. And then presumably next month we'll have May or January to June. And so the 2023 should also update and show just the current months.
Okay, I think I need this too. I know I can do this in QuickBooks already. The QuickBooks, if you say run a report to year to date, which would be from January 1 for us to the current date, you can say compare with previous period and then choose. Previous period could be last year, but it won't do January 1 to December 31. It'll do January 1 to today's date, but last year. And I think that's what Tracy's asking, right? Something like that?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, my first reaction was, I don't know if 1-year-old data would be considered archaic.
Yeah.
Like that seems awfully harsh. It's only a year old, but yeah, sometimes I think we can do this. I think I can do it fairly quickly. I'm not going to take a bet on how quickly, but I have an idea because I actually need this, so I'm happy that we have this question. Let's go ahead and share my screen. Oh, we didn't even do that ahead of time.
Do the prep work. We jumped straight into
we
it.
jumped straight to it. Let me share my window, and I will adjust the size if needed. Yeah, let's adjust that. Ooh, there it gets bigger.
Nice.
And okay. Did it say what object? Was it opportunities?
Shows only reports. Add a filter to the report to the show of the month. It does not.
Okay, I'm gonna assume it's opportunities. It'll be easier if we start with opportunities because opportunities have a bunch of date fields already, right? So let's just assume it's opportunities. Okay.
And it does mention that it's looking for a filter in a report. So is it possible that I can add a filter? Okay, so I was just
I think we can. I think there's a couple ways to do it. So the first thing I was thinking was let's open up the reports tab real quick. And I may have to create some sample data just to get this to work because this org is a bunch of random stuff. Let's create the word a report. See, I have no reports on opportunities. Okay, so I'm going to create a report on opportunities, and there's not going to be any in here if I understand correctly. But what we're saying is we want all opportunities basically that are last year and this year. So big reveal, everyone who's watching this, it's 2024. And you now know what date it is in 2024 too. It's May 1st. And I actually want it up to today. So let's actually do this. We'll just do through last because this is something I need to do. I need to do monthly reporting. I need to do quarterly reporting. And we could do close one. Okay. So something like this, we need data to show up here. So what I'm going to do to get some data to just appear very quickly, I am going to open up the developer console. Now, this is not something I would ever do in production. I always be very careful. I'm essentially writing directly to the database when I do this. So this is super dangerous. I like to live on the edge and do dangerous things. People who know me know that I'm such a risk taker. All me and my rebel jacket, leather jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah, do not do this in production, please. But I'm gonna go ahead and create some opportunities in bulk using Apex. But it'll be a lot faster than creating it one at a time. And I want to create a lot. I'm going to create at least 24. So we'll create at least 24. I want to actually create more than that, I think. I want to create like, I don't know, like 48 or 100. Let's just say 100. And I'm going to create a new opportunity. And what's going to be different about these opportunities is going to be the amount. We'll say equals I plus 1 times 7.37. So I try to use like random numbers that will generate, uniqueness. And so I have to say I plus 1 here because if I said I, that'll be a 0 for the very first one.
Mm-hmm.
And 0 times any number is going to be 0. And then that one's not going to be great. Okay, and then we're going to say close date here equals, and I got to figure out a way to do some type of date that's going to keep incrementing. So what I probably will do here is I'm going to choose a date, and we'll say start date equals new date dot new instance. Now I have a lot of this stuff memorized just because I've been doing Apex for way too long. I do not expect the average person to have this memorized. In fact, don't waste your brain power and storage with memorizing this stuff. It's really not needed. I'm going to set a start date of June 5th. January 5th, sorry. January 5th, 2023. And then what we're going to do is for each of these records, 100, I'm going to increment it by a certain amount. So I'll say start date dot add days, and we'll say like I times 7. Now this time I'm okay leaving I 0 because that just means that the first one will be on January 5th, and then we'll keep going from there. And so there's 52 weeks in a year. So some of them will show up in our, let's actually do more than 100. Let's do 130. You know what? It's not necessary now that I think about it because we're only halfway through this year. So, but can't hurt, right? And if I wanted to get really clever, I wouldn't even do 7. I would do 6, adding 6, and that way it won't be always on a Wednesday. Let's do that. Okay. Other fields that are required on the opportunity. Again, I don't expect people to memorize this. But the stage name is required. I believe in this org, if we go to stage, the default stage name is closed 1 for if it's closed 1. Perfect. So we want these to be closed 1. Amount, close date, stage name, and account. I almost forgot that. So we're going to call this test opportunity, and then put in the I in there, and then o.account ID equals, and I don't know an account ID off the top of my head, so let's come back here. Sorry for all the clicking. And let's just find any account. Now, in this case, it really doesn't matter what account I choose. I could put one on each account. That would be an option. I could just do the same account the whole time. I don't think it matters for the purpose of this question. So I'm just going to choose one account. Now, you don't ever want to hard code IDs in your code. That's a terrible thing to do, but this is not code that I'm saving. So it's okay for now. Do as I say, not as I do. Sorry for being a hypocrite.
Is it okay to have a closed 1 opportunity with a closing date in the future? Because I think we might run into that with the 6 times
You could have a
130.
closed one opportunity with a date in the future. You could,
Okay.
yeah. And if let's test it out. Let's test that out. I believe you can. I think these are all the required fields. Let's execute this. Variable does not exist because I don't know how to spell opportunities. Okay, and it created a bunch of records. Let's come back to my report, and I will run the report. And now we have all sorts of data. Yay!
Nice.
And the dates are incrementing there. We can see, why are there only 20 records? Did I, did my code not work? Did I type something wrong? Let me come back to that. I less than 130, I plus plus. Yeah, that looks right. Maybe it's my report. Let's come back to clean up the report a little because there is a lot of junk in here that I don't need. And let's check the filters too. Okay, there we go. We want this to be to 2024, not to 2023. And run a report. Okay, the 82
Okay.
records. Great. Okay, we're getting closer. What was the question again? I'm kidding. So if we need a way to compare somehow to say last year versus this year, but the same. So basically, only seeing the ones last year that are for this time period. Now we're lucky right now. We could, do it by month. We could do it by quarter or something like that. But I totally understand what the question is desiring, and I'm going to try to get it there. Group date by, let's just do it by calendar month for now, just so we can look at this a little easily. Why is the bottom cut off there? Weird. Okay. Well, that can't be right because we're doing it by created date, and I should have done it by close date. Give me a second. I'll get there. Let's go ahead and show our details. And we don't want it by created date. Let's remove that group. Let's do it by close date. There we go. Group rows by this field, and then we'll group it by month. Again, this is just to be able to see it better and make sure that this is logical. And let's take away the stuff that we don't need. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and summarize that. There we go. Okay, and this is kind of what the question's about, right? Tracy, I think was her name.
Yes.
So what I understood Tracy to say is, look, if I'm running this today, I want to see January 24, February 24, March 24, April 24, and I want to see January 23, February 23, March 23, April 23. I do not want to see May through December 2023.
That is my understanding too.
Okay.
I
So
did also just notice the last line
yeah,
there says, this way I will have two bar graphs showing the same data side by side, one showing 2023 and the other 2024. And so in my head, if it's two bar graphs, they could be separate reports on a dashboard,
they
which maybe
could
is
be.
easier.
Yeah, they definitely could be. Can you repeat that one part? One showing 2023, one showing 2024.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's this way I will have two bar graphs showing the same data side by side, one
Okay.
showing 2023 and the other 2024.
Yeah, that's so we can't put two charts in a single report.
Right.
I'm going to save this report, by the way. This opportunities year to date with previous period. We're gonna do that. Okay. Now, if the requirements are always based on today's date, then we can do this. If it's based on what's in the report, then we cannot. And so what I mean by that is if she wants the ability to say, I'm interested in specifically February and March of this year, not January through April, I won't be able to do that unless you go and you do the filter, which would be kind of silly, although you could, that just says filter where, close month equals, and then you could put, January, February, March, that type of stuff. I don't even know if that works, to be honest. Let's try that out. Value, it needs to be, so you'd have to say 1/1/2024, comma 1/1/2023, apply. So you could do something like that, but that doesn't scale well.
Right.
But that's the only way to do it if it's not year to date. So if you really just want February and March, for instance, and not year to date, I can't fix that. That's going to be hard coding these formulas to show just the months that you want. And this is the way you would do it. And then what I would do here is I would group this by year. And now we have February, March 23 versus February, March 24. Right? Cool. And that's the only way to do it. However, let me undo that. And I'm going to save the report one more time. And if we're going to really consider this to always be a year-to-date type of thing, I think we can do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to setup again and go to the opportunity object because that's the object we're working with, although this would work on any object. Let's, uh, and I think we could create some formulas that would allow us to do this. So one formula we could create is just the month formula. Now we just saw in the report you can filter by month anyways, but we had to put in the specific dates, and that doesn't scale well, right? So we could create our own close month name. Let's call it that because I didn't want to call it close month. And we'll do text, and we could do a formula here. And now there's a couple different ways to do a formula like this. We could do an if statement where we say if, and I'll go ahead and pull up if here. You know, if the close date is January or something like that, we could do that. But there is a month here, and so we could do month and then insert close date. And actually, if I wanted to be clever, I wouldn't even do close date month. So like if I want to, well, maybe clever is not the right word. Maybe if I want to be lazy, close month number, right? This is an easy one. The formula is super easy. Close month number. It's going to be a number. Actually, it probably should be text. Yeah, let's make it text because otherwise we get decimal points. And then here we'll say text and next, and save. And now if we come back to our report, I have to refresh because a field that you just add is not going to show up in the report. It's cached. So I'll hit edit after refreshing. And now I could do a filter here where we say closed month number equals 2, 3. And now regardless of the year, it'll always be correct, right? Because closed month number for last year's opportunities are going to be the same as this year as long as it was in that month. And so this might be the best way to do it because this allows me to choose any months fairly easily. But there's one other way we could do this if we're going to do the year to date. So this works great if we're doing weird dates. Like I want to compare February and August of every year, you know, across 10 years, then this is going to be a lot more useful. But if we come back here and we create a new formula field, I think we can come up with a formula field that allows us to say where it is like, I don't know the name of this, but this is like is year to date in a previous year. So like is year to date, and then I'm going to put in here like any year. I don't know. Does that make sense? What I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, and then it's going to be a checkbox. Now this is assuming that you have a fiscal year that's based on the calendar year, or that you only care about the calendar year. If you're going to do it based on a custom fiscal year, this becomes a lot harder, like a whole video's worth harder.
Okay.
So just an FYI. Oh, and the other thing that I didn't talk about, I started to get into earlier, if I didn't want to be lazy and I wanted to actually use the words of the months, you know, January, February, March, etc., or Jan, Feb, Mar, which would be language specific, I would probably have used a case function to do that instead of an if function. And in case what that allows you to do, let's just pull that up real quick, is to basically say if the month of the close date is 1, then go ahead and output the word Jan. And if it's 2, then output the word Mar or Feb. Sorry, I do know my months, so on and so forth. I don't want to do that because I actually think the number is actually a lot safer. That way you don't have to worry about case sensitivity or misspellings or is it full name and that type of stuff. Okay, so in the month of the close date is something that I want to take into consideration. I also want to take into consideration the month of today. And so we're gonna there. Okay, so let's think about this. So
You have frozen up on my side. Let me see if my internet is still alive. It is. All right. Well, Matt appears to be frozen, or he is just standing still to avoid. Oh, and he's gone. Okay. So I am back on the screen. We were getting there, and I'm sure Matt will pop back on in a second here. But to recap where we were, we had come up with a few solutions to make this possible as a more manual process on the filter. The first of which was giving those months a number and then filtering by close dates or whatever the date field is on the records or the object that we're looking to report on, right? So to add a field that calculates the month number and then say, hey, looking from last year to today, let's grab just records that contain that month number. And now let's group them by year. And that produced our two bar graphs, 2023 and 2024. Or I should say one bar graph, but two bars, one for the preceding year and one for the current year. Also, if we don't group by date, then we could see the individual months that we were looking at for all of 2023 and 2024. And it looks like Matt is back. So I will
I'm
get,
back.
there he is.
Thank you for stalling. What a great way to increase the length of a video on
Yeah.
YouTube.
I thought that maybe you had just like there was a heist going on where it's like somebody has taken a photo and put it in
Yeah,
front of the security camera so that I can't tell that
right.
the
Yeah.
vault is empty.
Okay. I don't know. I think it was just my internet. I'm looking over there like everyone knows that my router's over
That's
there.
where the
But
router is.
okay, so let me try presenting my screen. What was the last thing you heard?
I feel like once the screen is up. Okay, so those two dates were not in
Yeah.
there. You
Okay.
had the
Oh
month
wow,
close
you
date
really.
and the month of today.
I had solved the whole thing and moved on. No, so let's pretend that we have two dates that we're thinking about. We're thinking about this date, February 1st last year. We're thinking about this date, February 1st this year, right? If we want a formula to say that an opportunity with February 1st of last year should be in this report, we need this, let's say, checkbox to be true. Now, this will be true if the month of today is greater than or equal to the month of the close date. And so this is basically the definition, my definition of this field called is year to date any year? Because I couldn't come up with, why is that not working? With a better name for it. Okay, that works. Okay, so now let's go ahead and hit next, and we'll create this checkbox field. So is year to date any year? So it's not just is year to date this year, it's is year to date any year. And I'm going to hit save, and then we have to go back to the report. Once again, we have to refresh the report because fields that you add are not automatically going to show up while I'm already in a report. And now I can go to the filters here, and I can say is year to date any year, and we'll say is true, apply. And hopefully it'll work when I run the report. Yeah.
Nice.
And so that works. Now, again, this only works if really the way I should have set this date is this one should be empty because we're always going to want to say up to today. And so now this is the report of opportunities year to date. Oh, look at that. We have one for next year. Okay, that's a problem.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, okay. That's because I created the data without really thinking about the consequences. But what I'm going to do is just say close date. Close date has to be less than or equal to, and then use a relative date of today. Okay. In the real world, you probably aren't, like you had mentioned earlier, you're probably not closing opportunities in the future because that's kind of weird. There we go. Okay. I think I'm pretty confident this is exactly what she wanted or close to it. You could use these formulas to now create additional reports if needed. And maybe that would be exactly what she wanted, but based on the requirements that you showed earlier, I think this will do it. So either of those formulas could be used. I really like this is year to date formula. Like I said, I actually need this for our internal org, so I'm gonna probably create this later. I'm thrilled that it's such a short formula there. You know, look at that. It's very small, and yet it's super powerful because this will allow me to do year-to-date comparisons this year versus last year. And then just to kind of go full circle, the other one was that close month number, which would also be useful when doing comparisons because there are times where like we know there are cycles in our sales process, and so being able to compare that would be useful. And that's an easy one too. Two one-line formulas doesn't get easier than that.
Exactly what I was going to say. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
we got two one-line formulas as
yeah,
answers. Okay, so to recap, the first one that we did was this one
yeah.
where we take the close date and the month of that close date and we turn that into text and then it becomes a number.
It's a number that's not it's text because I didn't want a decimal place to be on the field. Let's go look at an opportunity and then you'll understand what I mean.
Right. So
So
it's a
it's text. Yeah, it's text.
Arabic digit, 1, 2, 3, or 4, as
Yes.
opposed
Yeah,
to
the
written out
whole number.
ONE. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go here. Okay, so here's an opportunity that I created earlier. You can see January 5th, 2023. And if we look for those two fields that are hopefully somewhere on the screen, they're not because I believe this is a lightning page. That's a whole nother video also, but let's just see if it is or if it's a page layout. Yeah, it's a lightning page. Okay. I thought it was. I remembered we did that a long time ago. So I'm going to come here. I'm going to edit this and let's look for those fields. So close month number. I'm going to just put that underneath close date. And the other one was is year to date any date. We'll put that there as well and hit save. Really? I'm surprised that there's a required field not on the page, but this is not a real org, so I don't use it for work. Okay, so yeah, so the close date is January 5th, 2023. The close month number, again, I didn't want decimal places, even though we won't necessarily show the decimal places on the screen. Number fields technically behind the scenes, if you were to like query them, do have a digit or decimal places, so I didn't want that. And so it's just, it also sort different. Oh, you know what? Sorting by this would not be good because if it's a text field, 10 comes after 1, but that's a different issue. Anyways, it's useful to do it this way. We could have done it as a number field. There's use cases for both. And then this checkbox saying is year to date any year. And just to show you that this checkbox will change, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to November 2023. And now that should be not checked because it's not November of 2024 yet in the recording of this video. And of course, this got changed to 11. So they both work. Great formulas. I really like that they're simple, but super powerful because it then allows me to create the reports that I need to do comparisons of how are we doing this year versus last year so far, which is what that year to date, the YTD stands for. It's the so far. You don't want to compare only 4 months of this year with 12 months of last year. That's not fair.
Yeah.
And so this allows you to do a 4 month versus 4 month.
And then I guess okay, so to recap, this one is the first one was the produces a number based on the month,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can filter based on that number and the
Yeah.
current month because you know that if it's May, it's 5.
Well, whichever month you're interested in
Yeah.
would be
Um,
this first one. You would type in whatever month you're interested in, and you would have to update it monthly then.
yeah.
Right. So that's the downside. This is great if you're doing an analysis that's a one-time analysis or maybe a repetitive one, but of specific months. This is great if you're doing it a repeated analysis every month or every time period. And so you need it to always be up to date.
Yeah. And
Um,
theoretically, it's best used for whatever the preceding month is because if I do
yes, that's a good point.
May, but it's May 1st, it's going to pull everything
Yeah.
through May 31st from last year.
Yeah. I was thinking about that as it's funny because I came up with the same goes. So really, this is month to date, not is year to date, right? Like I know
Yeah.
the term is year to date. That's why we say it, but it's really for this month. If we wanted to
Or
maybe be
it's
a little
year
more
to month.
specific,
It's YTM.
is is it year to month? I don't even know. Is year to date? Then I'll put here this month and a year, right? Um, by the way, don't make changes to field names without testing and deploying all that stuff. But yeah, so technically, if we think about it, there's probably a couple other fields that we need. So let's go ahead and quickly create some other ones. I'm going to pull this one up and just copy it, because now that we talked about it, you're right. You're absolutely right. There's situations where that one formula may not be the formula we actually want. So let's do a checkbox here, and this one will be what was the name of that field? How quickly I forgot it. Was it is year to date or just year to date? Anybody at home speak up? So is YTD this month and a year? Okay. So I think we need is. Well, why are we doing the is YTD? Okay, that's fine. Is YTD last month and a year, right? So that's an easy one because that would just be is less than. So you would say today is greater than the close date. The months are greater. So that would be useful if we don't want to include this month, right? So let's go ahead and create that one. And I could definitely, like right today, May 1st, I do not want to include anything that closes May 1st if I really am interested in the first 4 months of the year. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a new formula field again. Oop, can I get rid of this? Oh, well, that's a weird browser issue. Let's do that one more time. So formula. And okay, so this one is year to date, and it's going to be today any year, which is a little more accurate. Typically, we don't do things by the day, but you could. Okay, now this one, let's see if we can figure out how we would do it. So the month has to be greater than equal to today, and I think the day has to be greater or equal. Is that right? Is there any chance that would not work? I think that would work. And we'll test it. I'm not just gonna publish this website. So let's think. If the date was 3/1/2023, and actually I'm gonna make this a bigger number, 3/15/2022, that we're interested in. Today is 4/1/2024. The answer is false. This is not greater. If today is 3/1/24, the answer is yes. Yeah, I think this works. Okay. So let's see if this one works. Next. So now we've got a series of formulas that can be used to determine all sorts of comparisons of records from last year and this year within time frames. Yeah. Okay, and let's just type in YTD, and ooh, okay. Whoa. I guess you can't click on it. You gotta drag it. Oh, we already have this month and a year, and then okay, today. Okay. Let's hit save. Now, does that was what was in my head when you started talking? Does that answer what was in your head?
Yeah, I think so. Because
Okay.
now, if it's May 13th and we filter by
Uh-oh. Something's wrong there.
here today, any year.
Okay, so the most recent one that I did is wrong, and someone at home is laughing, like, "Oh, you didn't see the mistake you made." Let's try this one more time. Okay, so the month of today is greater than equal to the month of the close day. So, oh, that's right. So because in this example, the fifth 5 is greater than 1. So
Oh.
5 is greater than 1. Okay, so what it is, I know how to fix this. We need 2 conditions. It's an
Yeah.
or, right? And you can do or a couple different ways. And we can do an or like this, or we can do an or with a pipe, a double pipe, which is this, but we're not going to do that. Okay, so either this, the month is greater than equal to, and the day is greater than equal to, or the month is greater and the day
It's
is greater than
unnecessary.
the day is not necessary. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, I almost went too far with that. Thank you for catching me. And I think that's it. Let's do a quick save so I can come back to it if needed. I'm gonna do a refresh on this screen. And we want 3 check. Yay, we got it. Okay, but to be safe, let's go ahead and start playing a little here. Let's change this to another day. We'll put, well, that doesn't make any difference. Let's change the month to 6/19. Sure, and the month is now different. Oh, well, that totally broke. Oh no, that's right. That's right. Yeah. No,
Yeah, because
that's
that's
correct.
in the future past.
Right. Yeah. Right. Never mind. Okay. See, it's kind of weird because day is the first, and there's no 0 day, so I can't test. I think it's working. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it is. I think it's good enough, and if not, that's great for anyone watching to submit comments and correct me, is what I would say. But yeah, I feel like these 3 checkboxes, this number formula, should be enough to do any report that Tracy needs. Now, if there's other reports, it's got to be a formula that's similar, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what it would, so I think it'd get a lot harder if your fiscal year was not the calendar year, because then your formulas now have to compare, and maybe January is actually part of your Q4, like Salesforce has, in which case you now can't just do comparisons of is the number greater. You actually have to start comparing the numbers itself.
Yeah.
But it's still doable, and I think it would fit within a single formula. You don't have to like do crazy stuff. It shouldn't be that complex.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what she needs. She needs formulas like this to be used in 1 or more reports.
Yep. And then filter the report by whether the box is checked or not, because that means it's in the period in the preceding year. And then that will show all of the months. And if she wants to see them just as the yearly period side by side, she can group by year. And then it'll be here's 2023, here's 2024, but it's
Right.
just January through April, January through April.
Yes, and I'm super excited about this because, like I said, I actually needed this anyway. But another nice thing about this is it reduces the number of charts you need on a dashboard.
Yeah.
So normally I would have to have 2 charts on a dashboard. Now I can have this in 1 and see it actually in like, the right perspective, because often the spacing of 2 different dashboards could be different, like the aspect ratio, so to speak, or I'm thinking of the word, but I don't remember the word.
The scale.
Scale, thank you. Yes, the scale could be different unless you specify, especially at the beginning of the year. If you think about it, at the end of the year, your numbers are big, so the scale is different. At the beginning of the year, the numbers are small, the scale is different. And so this would ensure that the scale is the same. And so that's super useful. And so I actually am very excited about this. I'm going to create this in our internal org and probably even update our dashboards so I can use it at a company meeting that's coming up. So thank you. You answered my question too, not just Tracy's question.
Cool. And thank you, Tracy, for that question. And I guess given the result there, could Tracy get away with just the one final formula that we did, because that checks the month without checking that field? Like, because the formula for the is year to date today any year, we
Yeah,
could have referenced that last month any year field and said if true, check the date, the
yeah,
or, but instead we actually did the month of
right.
today.
Yeah, yeah. We could
So
have referenced the formula field itself. You're right.
yeah, but since we didn't, then we could just have the is YTD today any year.
Well,
That
it depends
formula.
on the use case. I don't know what her specific requirements are. So, like I said, if I'm running a report like this week, the first week of May, to really compare the first 3 months of the year, I don't want to include any of May's opportunities.
Right.
And so that's the risk. Now you could filter it out like I did at the beginning, where I just say, okay, well, but the close date has to be less than, but then you have to up less than this month, I guess you could do.
Yeah.
And that would allow you to. I see a lot. I know I personally, and I see it a lot, have to run a lot of quarterly reports, and so you usually run them like that first week after the quarter. But by the time you actually present the data, sometimes it's 2 weeks away. And so you like if you just ran it the May 1st, or I guess April 1st, whatever it may be, you're like, oh, good, there's no data from today, because it's like, well, it's the first of the month. People don't always close their opportunities in the first month. But if you waited a week, some things might pop up.
Yeah.
So this would, unfortunately, it could result in data showing up. I think this is probably more likely the one that she's actually interested in, where it's like, don't include anything from this month. Show me everything that's in the past. It's locked in place. It's not changing. And then next month we'll use it again, and it'll be including this month. That's my guess. It's probably this one.
Yeah. And then, out of curiosity, because the way that my brain approached this, is there a way in a formula field to say, to grab the year from today and then just subtract one and then plug that back into the month and day from today and say, okay, check the box if the close date is greater than or less than this?
Ooh, that's a good question. So you can definitely grab the year for sure. So I'm here. So we can grab year just by doing that, right? So year today, and you want to recreate a date basically. So you can create a date. So if we come here, you can see you can create a date by passing in year, month, and day. So we could say this year -1, comma, this month, comma, and then this day. This would allow us to create a date. So this, if we were to actually save this, it's going to say May 1st, 2023. But what does that accomplish? I'm not sure I understood the question. Then use that to compare the close date.
Yeah. But
So
I
if
guess
it's
that doesn't help us because it's on the wrong record.
no, you could say, yeah, you're right. So close date is less than or equal to this. That would work. I think these are the same. You're correct. I didn't think about it that way. So construct a new date of today minus a year, and then
Yeah.
say true if close date is less than or equal to that. I think that'll work. Let's go ahead and test it out. You are right. There's often more than one way to do stuff. Just because I make a video about it doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way. Let's see if that's saved. It is
And
a
that's like the
big,
fun thing about Salesforce and these troubleshooting things, because like everyone's brain will approach it from a different
yeah.
angle.
Okay, did that save? That did. Okay, and now let's come back to the opportunity. Okay, now what we have to do is start changing these dates to see. So if we were to change it to 6/5, it should say unchecked now. Yeah, that worked.
Cool.
I like that. That's
Back to a one line
yeah,
formula.
that's a one line. It's simpler. Definitely it's simpler. I like that a lot. Good job. Way to go. Yeah, you showed me. I know the title of this video.
Well, it only took you solving the problem 3 different ways for me to go,
Yeah,
oh, wait, I have an idea now.
yeah. Matt takes 47 minutes with internet issues. Chris solves it in 1 minute. I like that a lot. Yeah, it's very, very elegant. Now, you definitely could do it greater than and put it on the other side. I don't think that makes a difference. I don't think, are there any other field? There's the close month number that we used. So I guess we could do that if we wanted to reference it there. It might make sense to actually create fields, close month year, close month day, close month month, and then reference those here. And that way, because if you're going to use if you're going to create a lot of different formulas, rather than risk that you make a mistake somewhere, it might make sense to kind of reference them. But when you do that, the length of the formula does increase.
Yeah.
So this one's 203 characters, which is nice. It's short.
Did I,
Yeah.
did we overwrite the previous solution? We did, right? And so now I'll need to
Oh,
watch the video and then
yes, we
okay.
did. No, I put it up here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I that was a tip from a previous video that I use. I like to put my formulas up here when I make changes to them just to be safe. So
That's a
I
good
do
idea.
still
Do you
have the old
mind
one.
sending those to me so I can
Of course.
update Tracy,
Yeah.
please?
And now I'm curious though, like, okay, let's see which one. Let's see which one actually. So this one was 203, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. It's not that it matters. Either one, they're both very good solutions. But 221, yours is actually fewer characters, so way to go. Yeah. I tip my hat to you.
And then do comments count towards your characters?
I don't know. That's a great question. Are we doing just a video now on formulas
Yeah.
now? It didn't even comments didn't even work. So I thought I've seen comments in formulas, but
I
um,
guess that's what the description field is for.
let's try that. Someone's gonna be like, "Of course you can do comments. Here's how you do it." Oh, there, that worked, and it did not increase.
Okay.
So that's interesting. Multi-line comments do not increase.
Nice.
Yeah. So we should, if we were very good about it, we would say something like this. Here is Matt's solution at 223 characters. And then I could do two or three. Yeah, I think. And then what I'll do is comment out mine altogether and check syntax, make sure that works. Yep, there you go.
Cool.
I'm going to go ahead and put a frowny face since
I asked about the comments because there's definitely a benefit in reducing the number of characters and
yeah,
simplifying the formula up until the point that the next
yep.
person that comes in, like yours, might make more sense visually to somebody who said,
Mm,
okay, it's matching the month. Okay, then it's comparing the day
I mean, it
versus,
is a little confusing. I actually think yours is simpler to understand. So we're saying create a date that's last year of the same month, same day, and then just do the comparison. I think yours is actually simpler.
well,
In terms of
well,
things to test, right? There's like two paths to test here. So right away, that's
that's true.
harder. Whereas
The
here, there's only
or,
one path to test. So I like yours better.
yeah. Tracy, if you watch this and implement one, let us know which one you implement, please,
Yeah.
because that will be the real deciding vote. Or I guess since you needed this formula yourself, Matt, we'll see which one you implement.
Oh, I'm implementing yours for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Less is more in my book.
Cool. All right. Well, that is the solution there. Thank you, Matt, for walking us through that, for putting up with the technical difficulties and then saving me as I tried to recap what we had done without being able to see it on the screen anymore.
Yeah, well, thank you for handling my internet difficulties and for putting me to shame at coming up with a better solution much faster than I did.
I mean, it's always easier to refactor
You
than it is
even though you even pointed out the flaw in my logic to begin with, though. So you twice on one video, one call, you one upped me. First by pointing out, hey, while that formula does work, it's not going to help. And then the second by saying, while that formula does work, there's one way easier.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I also do have the benefit of I saw the questions ahead of the call. So theoretically, in the back of my brain, things had more time to
Yes.
percolate.
So I think the real lesson is then always prepare, take time. Don't just, jump on a call and try to solve something, and you'll get better results, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also read your emails or like find out the questions ahead of time, because even
Yeah.
if you don't have time to work on it, your brain is probably
Yes.
still messing things around. So I pull those questions early in the day, don't think about them until we hop on the call, but it's like I don't know what is going on in the brain, so
Right. Yeah, that's true.
don't put off reading your email.
Right.
Oh, it's a client again, I'm gonna have to deal with that. Deal with it now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or at least
cool.
read it now. Yeah.
Yeah, read it now. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for sticking around. And of course, if you did, please be sure to like and subscribe. If you have an even better way to accomplish this or any notes about things that we could have done differently, please drop them in the comments below, as well as any questions that you have for us to address on Q&A with Matt K. And of course, the easiest and quickest way to get your questions answered is to head over to go.mkp.dev/Q&A and enter them there, and we bump you right to the top of the list. Otherwise, comments are second place, and then third place, ask the Trailblazer community. So I want to thank everyone once again for watching, and thank you, Matt, for doing this. We'll
Happy to
see you
do
next
it.
time. Bye.